Aaron Rodgers has now signed a new deal with the Green Bay Packers. But as of today, he will no longer have his biggest weapon in Davante Adams. So was the deal worth it, or was this inevitable that Davante Adams is going to leave regardless of what Aaron Rodgers did, signed wherever he went? Mitch Trubisky, the old Chicago Bears quarterback, now heads to the Steelers, not following his old offensive coordinator over to the Giants. Will he be able to compete for the starting job? What are the Colts waiting for? They need a quarterback. They are dragging their feet. So what are the Colts waiting for while these quarterbacks are taken off the market? And good old Colin Kaepernick still wants to play football, thinks he still can. We are going to discuss all of that today here on the Coach Steve Show podcast. Welcome back, everybody. Took a few days hiatus for a couple of reasons. One, just busy, just a busy guy. Two, had to upgrade the old computer. My HP computer took a crap on me, and now we are upgraded. We finally took the plunge and got a good old Apple computer, thanks to everybody who helped convince me to get it. So we're back doing podcasts, hopefully looking better than ever, hopefully sounding better than ever, upgrading everything. So welcome back to the Coach Steve Show podcast. If you're watching this on video form, thank you so much. Please hit the like button and the subscribe button. It just helps out, pushes the show out there, helps it tremendously. If you're listening to an audio form, it could be listened to wherever you listen to your podcast, literally anywhere. It's now on Audible, which is incredible. I didn't know that till I found it. So the podcast is now on Audible as well. So please rate it, follow it, be a friend, tell a friend, leave it a 5-star review on Apple. If you can review it, great. If not, just hit the 5-star on there. But greatly appreciated. This podcast is brought to you by the Belly Up Media Network. They are upgrading. The website is still bellyupsports.com, but it is the Belly Up Media Podcast Media Network. There's podcasts, there's blogs, there's things for everybody. So go check that out again. That is bellyupsports.com, but it's Belly Up Media. This podcast is also brought to you by Coach Stone Football and is back to the basics, books, and drills. If you head over to coachstonefootball.com and click on his Back to the Basics book series, you'll never have to look up another drill again. I promise you. His very first book is over 500 pages. Then he's just got book after book after book. The guy literally never sleeps. He, breathes and lives family and football. And so if you go to coachstonefootball.com and click on his Back to the Basics book series, you'll never have to look up another drill again. Thank you, Coach Stone, for sponsoring the podcast. So again, we're back. We're back, hopefully, to get some podcasts going. March Madness is upon us as well. There'll be podcasts about that. The Illini play tomorrow. But today we're going to talk some NFL. Tons of NFL stuff happening. I know I'm a little late to the party, so if you're listening, thank you so much. Subscribe, do all that. So the first thing, because I like to talk about it, is Aaron Rodgers. It was reported that Aaron Rodgers was going to sign a $200 million deal, according to the internet. But according to Pat McAfee and his source, this was false. Aaron Rodgers tweeted this was false. And I talked about it before, where the media is just going to write and say what they want about him. He was right. This deal came out, was worth $150 million. People are like, oh, only $150 million. Well, they're actually ended up paying him less than they did before, because he reconstructed it to where he feels he's going to get paid what he deserves to be paid, what he's brought to the team, compared to what other quarterbacks do. Because in the world of professional sports, from the outside looking in, people get paid what they're worth. Because I have always talked about when is enough money enough? And I hope that makes sense when I say that. And what I mean is, let's say you're getting paid $10 million a year, but you really are going to hold out because you think you can get $15 million a year or so. And then, or let's say a team wants to sign you, and they're going to sign you to, I don't know, a $60 million contract, and $30 million of it is guaranteed. But another team wants to sign you to $60 million, but $32 million is guaranteed. Well, they take the 32. So I always wondered, when's enough money enough? Because normal people like us, we would flip if we had that much money. If I had $30 million, I wouldn't work ever again. I would have to try to spend that $30 million. I'd have to try. I would have to I would probably make a lot of dumb decisions with it, but I have to make a lot of dumb decisions. Ultimately, that's what I've always been confused about. But in the NFL, in NBA, and baseball, they feel like players feel that they get the respect and get told how good they are. It's essentially of this is how good I am when they get paid the money. So when someone signs a deal and it's worth a lot of years, a lot of money, a lot of guaranteed money, it's saying that I'm better than you because I'm making this money. And ultimately, this is kind of true and not true. It's true for some players. Some players make the money. But we look at like Tom Brady. Tom Brady's never been paid that money. And he's, people say he's if not the best quarterback to ever play in the NFL. People also get paid that money and then they suck. And then they don't perform like they did when they had to go out and earn that money. So for me, I've never looked at it as this guy's good because of the money, but it's an image thing. If you ever watched a documentary, I believe it's called Broke, and that might be a college one, I'm not sure, but there is a documentary about professional sports, why people go broke so soon, whether during their playing days or right when they're done, is because they talk about, well, this person bought this car. There's only I can't remember what car it was, but there was only 6 of them. And somebody bought one. Well, then this next person goes, well, I'm going to buy 2. So they bought 2 to show they had it. Or they come in with this chain that's worth like 50 grand. Well, I'm going to come in with this chain that's worth 100 grand because I've got the money that you can't go shell that out. So it's always an image thing. So I've never understood that. So it was reported that Aaron Rodgers was going to sign some type of deal for $200 million. Pat McAfee said it was wrong. Aaron Rodgers said it was wrong. But the media ran with it because the media, we've talked about it, we don't have to dive too deep, is that Aaron Rodgers and the media don't get along. Aaron Rodgers doesn't like the media doesn't like Aaron Rodgers. They use him as a scapegoat. They blame him for certain things. They say this, and that's what they're going to do. So they ultimately ran with that, and I never understood why, because they realize he's always on Pat McAfee's show. His sources were probably him, he himself, and just didn't trust him. So Aaron Rodgers signs an extension. Aaron Rodgers' extension with Green Bay includes $150 million over 3 years. So again, it was reported there'd be 200. They were wrong. It was signed on Tuesday after he announced he returned to the team. It's a 3-year, $150 million deal that includes 2 voidable years in 2025 and 2026 that help for salary cap purposes, according to the copy of the contract by ESPN. Them re-signing the league MVP will make the reigning 2-time league MVP will make $41.95 million this season, which is fully guaranteed in the form of $40.8 million roster bonus, which will be treated as signing bonus for salary cap purposes, and a base salary of $1.15 million. His 2023 pay $59.465 million also is guaranteed. In 2024, his $49.25 million is guaranteed only against injury at the time of signing. If Rodgers plays only 1 season and then retires, gets released, or is traded in 2023, the Packers would have to absorb at least $68 million in dead money and up to $99.8 million if occurred before June 1st. Another sign that the quarterback intends to play or committed to playing at least 2 more seasons in 2024, the dead money could be reduced to as low as $27.6 million. A quote from one of the people that work for, or the general manager actually said, "We are very pleased to be able to come to an agreement with Aaron Rodgers that keeps him in Green Bay. His play on the field and leadership in our locker room remain vital in the pursuit of another Super Bowl. The agreement also allows us to maintain and enhance what we feel is already a very competitive roster." The Packers were $21.2 million over the salary cap before Rodgers' deal hit the books. Now they are close to getting under the salary cap, which they must be by Wednesday by 4 p.m., which was yesterday. They will need to make a few more moves, although one of them is not to expect to involve Rodgers' close friend kicker Mason Crosby. A source said that there has been no change in his status or contract, and Crosby is scheduled to make $3.4 million with a cap charge of $4.735 million. Rodgers called his future a beautiful mystery late in 2020 and everything else. So then it says, Rodgers' return now puts backup quarterback Jordan Love's future in question, whatever. And again, Aaron Rodgers was in this situation with Brett Favre, so that doesn't bother me. So there you go. Some of this is confusing. The salary cap is a myth. We have to accept the fact that the salary cap is a myth. It doesn't mean anything. I think they reported a little bit, but nobody's really ever over under the salary cap. I think it looks good to some teams like, oh, they have this much money, this much money. Now, people are calling Aaron Rodgers selfish, calling him, whatever, because the next thing that follows, he signs this deal. Well, the next one was Davante Adams. Davante Adams then needed to be signed. So the Green Bay Packers try to franchise tag him, and then the franchise tag, he makes a percentage of, it makes what the highest, wide receivers are making. And so he was going to get paid a lot of money. Well, then he said he wasn't going to sign that. He didn't want to be franchise tagged. He didn't want to play for 1 year. He wanted to get paid. Well, people are blaming Aaron Rodgers for this. And you see it, like, good thing he got his money and this, and that. I'm no mathematician. I'm no expert. But here's the thing that you have to realize. Now, obviously, Aaron Rodgers could have came in and said, cut this in half, take this money and go to Davante Adams. And that sounds good because people compare it to like a Tom Brady and look what he did. But Tom Brady got paid too. But it was one of those things where Aaron Rodgers said, look now he's only brought him a Super Bowl, but they win games, done a lot for the organization before Davante Adams. And basically just said, okay, I think again, it's an image thing. I think I deserve to make this much money, but let's look at the salary cap. Let's figure it out. How can I readjust my contract, depending on how we can shake it up to make it work? And he did. You heard that brought the salary cap down. For him, he can get money, but it brings it down. So then it was, let's try to pay Davante Adams. They wanted to franchise tag him and then see what happens next year to get him. Well, he didn't want to do that. People are blaming Aaron Rodgers. I do not blame Aaron Rodgers for this because the Packers are in a situation where you're telling me that they were going to sit there and be able to have this big time money for Aaron Rodgers and this big time money for Davante Adams. No. So they had to pick. Did Aaron Rodgers tell him he's going to be committed for 2 more years? And that's why they said, okay, within this 2 years, if we can figure it out with the offense with Aaron Rodgers, we can figure out how to win a Super Bowl. That's what happened. So I'm sick and tired of seeing how it's Aaron Rodgers' fault. Every player in the NFL is going to try to make the money. They want the money, no matter who they are. No matter who they are. Tom Brady wants the money. Aaron Rodgers wants the money. Now, Tom Brady's wife makes more, so he'd be perfectly fine. Aaron Rodgers is himself. So they want to make the money. And you look around and see what other quarterbacks are making. You're seeing, what Mahomes is making. You're seeing what Josh Allen is making. You're seeing other quarterbacks out there who get this money, and Aaron Rodgers is sitting there going, well, wait a minute. This guy's getting paid this. This guy's getting paid this. Carson Wentz is getting paid this, and I'm only getting paid this. And I win more games. I bring more to the table. That's what he's looking at. So then that happens because then today reported Green Bay Packers have traded Davante Adams to the Las Vegas Raiders for 2 picks. For 2 picks. The Raiders are sending the Packers their first round pick, number 22 overall, and second round pick, number 53 overall in this draft for Davante Adams. So now we don't have to worry about it now. Adams is signing a 5-year contract averaging $28.5 million per season with Las Vegas Raiders. A source said Rodgers was aware of the development with Adams, who preferred to play elsewhere rather than return to Green Bay for a contract and pay structure similar to his deal with the Raiders. The trade reunites Adams with Derek Carr, his quarterback at Fresno State before they entered the NFL together in 2014. Also gives Carr a number 1 receiver in his prime. And then the Raiders' odds to win the Super Bowl improved slightly after the trade, moving from 60-1 odds to 50-1 odds. The Green Bay dropped from 11-1 to 12-1 to win the Super Bowl. Second best odds behind the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. The Packers had used the franchise tag on Davante Adams last week, but now they're free from the $20.14 million charge on their salary cap. So people are blaming Aaron Rodgers for this. No, he really wanted the money. Again, I'm trying to tell you, No matter what happens, these guys want the money. That's all they want. They want the money. And they're always going to get the money when they have an opportunity to go get that money. They're going to get it. Aaron Rodgers had the opportunity to and decided to go get his money. But people are now talking about Green Bay, saying they're going the opposite direction. They're not going to win a Super Bowl because of Davante Adams being gone. This is Aaron Rodgers' fault. This, and that, yada, 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 and all this other stuff. I'm trying to tell you, if he restructured it to get the salary cap down, no matter what he's making, because he was going to make that money anyway, you've got to get over the fact that this is his fault. Yes, ultimately, you could have maybe said, you know what, take half my money and go give Davante Adams. But let me ask you this. Could you take half your money and give it to somebody? I don't know. So right now, Davante Adams is going to be the highest paid wide receiver ever at $141 million over 5 years. He's going to make the $28 million. So again, one of those things where this had obviously been talked about because he got traded today and then that happened. So it ultimately been talked about where he either kept the franchise tag, played for a year, only made $20 million. And I don't think it was because Aaron Rodgers, or he can go be traded to the Las Vegas Raiders and become the highest paid wide receiver ever and make the money, Aaron Rodgers type money. And I'm sure this was not an easy decision for Davante Adams because he and Aaron Rodgers get along. Great quarterback, wide receiver duo. So it's hard to blame people to wanting to make the money. But quit blaming Aaron Rodgers for this. Now it's up to the organization, which the salary cap's going up. Salary cap means nothing because if the salary cap meant something, then a lot of these teams that get so far over would be in trouble all the time. All the time. It looks good on paper to say this team has $30 million. This team has $50 million. It doesn't mean anything. So we need to get over the whole let's blame Aaron Rodgers, for this thing. No, this type of thing was probably going to happen regardless. So Aaron Rodgers getting his money. Davante Adams is now gone. So now the Packers are going to have to try to find a wide receiver to fill that void. Could they make another run at a Super Bowl? You'd have to think anything's possible with Aaron Rodgers if he can continue to play at a high level, no matter who's around him, because he makes everyone around him better, and that's why he's one of the best in the league. He's going to torture my Bears, and yes, I will hate him when the Bears play the Green Bay Packers, but ultimately, you have to. I respect him. He's one of the best quarterbacks, so we cannot keep blaming him. So move on. But now the Green Bay Packers have to go find a wide receiver. They still got decent pieces around. They've got to make sure their defense is set up. They've got to get another wide receiver. Seems pretty good. So I think they're in a good spot. Quit blaming him. We all know that. Other news. Mitchell Trubisky now has a new home. My former Chicago Bears quarterback, who took a Matt Nagy offense to the playoffs twice, Nickelodeon MVP up until this year, but he does have the Nickelodeon best player, most valuable player on his shelf, is now in a new home. His offensive coordinator took a head job for the New York Giants. It was speculated that he could go with them to compete and maybe beat out Daniel Jones for the starting position at the New York Giants. Well, another team that's been a desperate need of a quarterback who went the opposite direction of what I thought is now a Pittsburgh Steeler. And it is said that he will compete and be thought about for the starting job for the Pittsburgh Steelers. Some people do not like this. I love it. Now, I think the Steelers would be better with Jimmy Garoppolo, but I think Mitchell Trubisky with Tomlin, with I believe Matt Canada still the offensive coordinator, is going to do well. They have a run game. They've got to get the offensive line healthy and built up, kind of in a similar Chicago Bears way, but he's going to have still a good defense. It's kind of like he's going back to a Chicago team, but with a competent head coach. Mike Tomlin will get the best out of him. And Mitch Trubisky being coached the right way, you saw how he was in the preseason with the Bills, what he learned there. Now going to the Steelers, this is going to be beautiful. Now, they're going to win a Super Bowl? Not saying that. Is he going to be Ben Roethlisberger? Not saying that. But what I'm saying is the Steelers are getting a guy, if they call the offense the right way, he can move the ball for you. He can obviously try and hand it off to Harris behind your offensive line. And if you do short passes, quarterback runs, inside zone reads, power reads, jet motions to help him moving the pocket, which I think they will be able to figure out that Matt Nagy could not figure out, he will do fine. So Mitch Trubisky heads over to the Pittsburgh Steelers. He signs a 2-year, $14 million deal. And in his quote, he says, "This is where I wanted to be." They expect interest. He said, no doubt he wanted to be in Pittsburgh. He said they didn't really have to make a pitch to me or sell me on anything. This is where I wanted to be, play for Coach Mike Tomlin, be part of the rich Pittsburgh Steelers history and contribute to that. My goal throughout free agency was to find a way to get back on the field and go into a situation where I could win the starting job and use my talents on the field. Again, he signed $14 million. It could raise to a maximum value of $27 million with incentives. The Steelers guaranteed just $5.25 million. Then we're going to keep going because he was, my Bears quarterback. He said the 2-year deal is a chance for him to get back on track after a roller coaster start to his NFL career. He says, I'm in a situation where I have to prove myself back on the field. That's what I'm looking forward to doing. You're always betting on yourself in that sense. And I definitely am in this case. You've got to bet on yourself and trust what you're capable of. He enters a quarterback room with another former first-round pick in Dwayne Haskins and Steelers 2018 third-round pick Mason Rudolph. Trubisky joins the organization with expectation of competing for the starting job. I think you expect to compete wherever you go, especially when you come into a new team, a new situation. I'm looking forward to earning a spot and just earning the trust of my teammates. I can't wait to get on the field with these guys and showing them what I have. Mitch Trubisky had an above 500 record with the Bears, took the team to the playoffs twice. Now, I am on record somewhere out there, social media, podcast, and I have blamed Mitch Trubisky, and I've apologized. Mitch Trubisky, I 110% apologize, especially if you play well this year, 150%. I am going to apologize to you because I used to blame Mitch Trubisky all the time. Now, were some things on the field his fault? Yes, he is going to sit there and take some of the blame. But then when you start watching the play calls for him and you start seeing what Matt Nagy was doing, you started to realize, something's off here. And then Nick Foles not doing too hot, but then you have Coach Lazier calling plays, does better. Then you saw what Matt Nagy was calling plays for Justin Fields. It's still happening. So it's like, common denominator here was Matt Nagy. Mitch talked about Chicago just for a little bit. My time in Chicago was just a learning experience. It's time to turn that page, and it's on to the next chapter. All you can do is continue to work for your future, but draw on your past experiences to make the future, to make sure the future goes better. So that's what I'm looking forward to doing. Trubisky started 50 games and was selected to the Pro Bowl in 2018 after going 12-4 and had 24 touchdowns, 12 interceptions, but only won 14 games as a starter over the next 2 years. And the Bears offense struggled to find consistency, which we blame Matt Nagy. Not only is the Steelers culture the right fit, but after studying offensive coordinator Matt Canada's scheme, Trubisky believes his skill set works well with Canada's RPOs and play action sets. And from 2017 to 20, Trubisky's 833 rushing yards on scrambles were the 5th most all-time quarterbacks. I'm looking forward to utilizing my dual threat abilities with this offense, just leading the offense to score points. I'm looking forward to using my legs running to buy more time or running for first downs. Like I said, that's what Mitch Trubisky brings to the table, and the Bears did not do that enough for him. That's what they need to do with Justin Fields now. We got a whole new coaching staff. But happy for Mitch. Again, Mitch will never, ever listen to this, but if he ever does, Mitch, I would love to have you on. I apologize. There is record of me out there sometimes blaming some of the things on him, but I mean, some things maybe, but it ultimately was not his fault. He's right. It was a learning curve. I don't think Matt Nagy put him in the best position to be successful. Said that multiple times, beating a dead horse, but Mitch Trubisky is now a Pittsburgh Steeler. Congratulations to him. I hope he does well, and especially if he's winning games, he'll really show how incompetent Matt Nagy was with him. Now, before we move on to the Colts and Colin Kaepernick, football coaches, if you're still listening, we're getting closer to spring ball, we're getting closer to summer, then eventually the season is going to be upon us. So I'm telling you right now, your big guys in the trenches, your offensive line, your defensive line, when they're doing inside run periods, they are hitting every single play. And that's why it's the best position in football. Ask anybody. It's the most fun. You hit every single play. You're the best looking, obviously. But you are hitting every single time. And it's going to, that's a lot of blows. That's a lot of scuffed up to the helmet. There's a way to protect the helmets and protect the domes of those big guys. And it's guardian caps. It's going to absorb the impact by 20 to 33%, which is huge. It goes right over the helmet, stylish ones, and everything else that fits your team color. You can do camo and all that good stuff. So if you go to guardiansports.com/guardian-caps and use the code 15OFF, it'll say 15% off your order. It's worn by over 5 NFL teams and 200 plus colleges like Georgia, Alabama, Oklahoma, and Penn State. If it's good enough for them, it's good enough for us. And I'm all about saving you money. So if you go to guardiansports.com/guardian-caps and use the code 15OFF, it is going to save 15% off your order. So go do that for me. It helps Sports Podcast, helps you guys save some money. Thank you, Guardian Sports, for sponsoring the podcast. And coaches, since we're on the topic of, saving you money and talking about getting better and helping out your players, I'm here to tell you that there is a product out there to help you help your kicker. Yes, kicker. Special teams is a third of the game. It is very important. So if you have a young kicker or even an experienced kicker, but he's struggling, always kicking into the end zone or putting the ball exactly where he wants it, well, believe it or not, it's probably the tee. That old orange one does not get the job done. We got to move on. The times have changed. We have upgraded. It's time to upgrade, move along with the times. So if you go to launchpadkickoff.com, you're going to get the perfect tee for you. It has strategic abilities, and it comes with a pamphlet to tell you how exactly to put the football strategically where you need to get it. Whether you got to kick it to the end zone, I guarantee it's going to kick it farther. How you do your squib kick, there's a specific way to lay the football, onside kicks, and different types of onside kicks to put that there. This is a game changer. So if you go to launchpadkickoff.com/CSS and you use the code CSS at checkout, it's going to save you 10% off your order. And then there's also a 4-pack. So when you click on the 4-pack, they're going to give you that fourth one free. So you're only paying for 3 and getting the fourth one free. So it's a game changer. It's going to help your kicker kick the ball farther, get the squib kicks, get the onside kicks. So again, launchpadkickoff.com/CSS and use the code CSS at checkout. Let them know I sent you. Help supports the podcast. Thank you, Launchpad Kickoff T, for sponsoring the podcast. Okay, moving on, wrapping it up. These quarterbacks in the NFL are going left and right. They're out of here. They're disappearing. People are signing left and right. Kirk Cousins signed a huge deal with the Minnesota Vikings, so he's gone. Not saying they need to sign him. They traded away Carson Wentz, so now there was that quarterback. Mitch Trubisky is now signed. So what other quarterbacks out there can you get? Russell Wilson, now with the Denver Broncos. So now the Colts, who I think are a playmaker and a quarterback away from being Super Bowl contenders. Their defense was really good last year. Their run game was good. Their offensive line's got to get healthy. But when that happens and they get another wide receiver, they're going to be Super Bowl contenders. But the AFC is stacked. So Colts, because me, Brad, and Nathan became Colts fans by you, the fans who voted. What in God's green earth are you waiting for? The Colts have I just said the salary cap is fake, but it looks good. They have a high salary cap. They have a ton of money to go get a quarterback and a playmaker. So right now, what are they waiting for? What are they waiting for? Did they try to get some of these quarterbacks and it just didn't happen? Why is it not happening? Colts. You looking? You paying attention? Go get Jimmy Garoppolo. And do it now. If he just had soldier surgery. I understand it. but he will be healthy. Will be healthy. He is a guy that I've talked about here before, so we don't have to go too deep into it, but he wins. All he does is win. All he does is win. You need a guy in there to be competent. You need a guy in there that understands the NFL because he's been around a while. Not going to check out of runs. He can make easy completions. And with that type of run game, play action, he'll be great at play action. You have to go get a quarterback. And it doesn't have to be Jimmy G. If there's another guy out there that's better, go get him. But I'm telling you right now, if you're serious about trying to get to the Super Bowl, got to go get a wide receiver. You've got to get a quarterback because now you trade away Carson Wentz, which was a good move. Get rid of him. You don't need him. Don't need him. But the problem is now you need a quarterback, and you are waiting way too long to try to get a quarterback. Because here's what's about to happen to you. Jimmy G will not be on the market all crazy long. San Francisco wants to move on. You have to go get him because if you don't, Seattle needs a quarterback. What if they try to get him? I don't think they're going to do it in the division, but they need a quarterback. What? I'm not saying he's going to go to the Giants, but what if he wants to go there? Okay, Saints need a quarterback. Apparently, Atlanta wants a new quarterback. There's a bunch of teams out there that need a quarterback or would like to win or like Jimmy G. They just got to figure out the right thing. And right now, the Colts, you need a quarterback. Go get Jimmy G for two reasons. One, he's going to help you win. Two, I would love to go watch because Colts not that far, easy drive. And he's from the Chicagoland area. It'd be nice to go see him. But Colts, quit waiting on this. Go get him. I don't know what you're waiting on because the more you wait, he's going to go somewhere else. He's going to leave you. He's going to leave you. There's some teams I thought he could have went to, but he didn't. I thought maybe Tampa Bay. I thought maybe go back to the Patriots. I thought maybe the Bears. The Bears could have got him, but they're going to stick with Jimmy G. Steelers, I thought it would have been great, but they decided Mitch Trubisky. So Colts, this is your time now. It's your time to shine. Go get him. Go get him. To wrap up the podcast, because we're getting back in the flow of it, something a little controversial. So Colin Kaepernick put out a workout video and said he could still play, and reports of like, oh, how good he looks. Look how he could throw the ball. Look how he can move. Here's the thing. It's easy to look good when you're not in pads, when you don't have five guys trying to take you out, when there's no defender on the wide receivers, when there's no crowd yelling at you. It's easy to look good. So the fact that we watched this video of Colin Kaepernick and now people are just jumping up and down saying he can play in the NFL, guys. Come on. He can play in the NFL. Are you serious? Colin Kaepernick has not played since, I believe, 2015 or 16. So he's not played for a long time. A very long time. So you're telling me if you haven't played since 2016, you could just easily put a helmet on and some pads on and go back out there and play. Start. Colin Kaepernick is now 34 years old. So let's think about that. He is 34. Aaron Rodgers, who was probably the best in the league, is 38. So he's only 4 years older. And he's getting close to he's talked about retirement. We're at that point. So Colin Kaepernick does this thing and apparently can play. Now, again, I've already said my piece. people are talking about signing him. Now, I was not a person that, how do I put this? The fact that teams didn't sign him, I was indifferent. I didn't really care because teams can make choices. The NFL is a business. And if teams choose not to sign him, they don't have to. It's like anything else. It's like a normal job. How many interviews have any of you that are still listening gone on and didn't get the job, but maybe they hired somebody else and maybe you thought they shouldn't hire him, they should hire me. That's kind of where Colin Kaepernick was. That's kind of where the media was. But at the same time, you move on, you go to another job. How many of you have not gotten a job? It's life. The NFL is not a given. It's called not for long. But people also thought that Colin Kaepernick, over the years, people said, why are they signing this guy? Why are they signing this guy? Colin Kaepernick did this numbers. I don't think people actually sit down and think about, well, how long has he not played? Well, that means he's rested. There was truth to that at first. But then when you don't play, no matter how hard you work out, you're not going to be in that time. I'm not saying you're not going to be in that kind of shape. To read a defense, no matter how much film you have to see it, to read the defense. So I think people are more like, just sign him to be a backup. Fine. If someone signs him to be a backup, great. But I don't really see him being signed to be a starter. Why? Why would he sign to be a starter? Well, because he's better than so-and-so, so-and-so. Really? Well, he hasn't played in years. He's now 34 years old. He did not have great performances before he took the knee, was not playing well. He was benched. So you tell me if he's that good. You tell me if he's meant to be a starter. I don't think so. And again, this workout video, people in the media say, well, he looks really good. No, he's an athletic person, stays in shape. That's why he looks good. But again, some of these media writers don't understand football. Okay, they don't coach it, or they have never played it, but especially don't coach it. It's super easy for a quarterback to complete passes when nobody's rushing him. It's really easy to complete passes when there's no offensive line or defense line in your face. It's really easy to complete passes when nobody's guarding the wide receivers. And it's real easy when you don't have to get the ball out in 3 seconds. Super easy. So that's where you can look good. Anybody can look good doing that. So is he really a starter in the NFL? Pete Carroll apparently says so. Pete Carroll is ready for Colin Kaepernick to get a second chance in the NFL. But despite his own quarterback needs, Pete Carroll isn't sure if that is with the Seattle Seahawks. So you could sit there and say that he needs another chance, then you sign him. Pete Carroll said Wednesday that Kaepernick contacted him recently and asked for a chance to try out for the team. Though Carroll said Kaepernick deserves a second chance in the league, he doesn't know if it's here in Seattle. Carroll says Colin Kaepernick, Kaepernick hasn't played in the league since 2016 when he first started the kneeling during the national anthem and protesting and all that stuff. Kaepernick's protest essentially led to being blackballed from the NFL. He's filed a grievance against the NFL, along with the former teammate Eric Reed, where he claimed that the team's owners colluded to keep him out due to the backlash from his protest. They settled that grievance in 2019. Here's the thing. If that was, I don't know. A part of it is if they all get together and say, don't sign him, that's one thing. But if they just decide not to sign him, then he needs to suck it up, put his big boy pants on and go do something else. But here's also the other thing, Colin Kaepernick. There were times in the NFL, and all of them said, okay, let's set up a workout and see what you got. And they set it up. They said, okay, we'll go to this high school field, we'll go to this field, and we'll see what you do. The day of, he would change it. He changed it and said, nope, I want to go here. I want my camera crew here. I want this, I want this, I want this. Now, really, is it not that big of a deal? Maybe not. But the NFL is a business. And they said, this is what we want to do. This is what we had planned. We are in charge, not you, because we pay you. It's a job. And sometimes I think we forget that. Yes, the players make the money, but it's like any other job. People at factories, people at stores make the owners money. Right? Same thing. So what are we talking about here? And let's not forget, Colin Kaepernick, you said the NFL, you compared the NFL to slavery. So if the NFL is like slavery, why on earth would you be fighting so hard to get back? Why would you be fighting so hard to get back if you hated it so much, if you don't like it so much? It's because he wants money, guys. Like we started at the beginning, it's about the money. It's about making him that money. So does he deserve another chance? I don't care if a person signs him, if a team signs him. Do I think he deserves to start? No, he's probably not good enough to start. But if someone signs him as a backup, doesn't bother me any because it is what it is. But I'm tired of seeing, oh, he's ready to play. This, and that. There's just things I don't like about Colin Kaepernick. Never have, probably never will, even before all the stuff. But remember, Colin Kaepernick doing this makes him a hypocrite. So you got to be careful when you're bringing that type of negativity. Not necessarily the kneeling and all that anymore, but he is a hypocrite. He is going to. Does he have the leadership in the locker room? Are people going to trust him? How are people going to feel about a hypocrite like him coming back into the NFL? And how are they going to feel him starting over somebody that is stayed in the NFL and has worked hard, and you bring this guy in for a publicity stunt? That's all I'm saying. So some of these media people need to check themselves and realize, well, they never played football, they never coached it, so they got to realize just looking good in a video. But these are also the same people that said LeBron James could play in the NFL. Get over it. LeBron James is athletic, but you put him in an NFL uniform against like a Ray Lewis, his sternum's going to get broke. So we need to stop all that. I don't think Colin Kaepernick can play in the NFL. I think that time is over. I think it's done. But he wants the money. He wants money. Claims to use it for good. Highly doubt it. Because when he was doing all the stuff before, he had this huge mansion, had all this money. He gave like $500,000 or maybe $1 million. I don't know. But he just wants the money. So probably shouldn't play in the NFL, but neither here or there. But that's all we got. This was it's hard to do a long episode when you're by yourself. But thank you guys for watching and or listening. We are back again. Upgraded computer, upgraded stuff. We are back. Thank you guys so much for watching and or listening. Please like and subscribe to the YouTube channel, Twitter at Coach_Steve72. Check out all the affiliates in the description below. Please leave a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts. Podcasts can be found anywhere you listen to your podcast. Thank you guys so much for watching and or listening. Again, go check out all the weekly episodes. This is Coach Steve, another episode of the Coach Steve Show podcast. And like Carson Wentz with the Colts, like Jimmy G with the San Francisco 49ers, and like Davante Adams with the Packers, we are getting out of here.